Hello, Mia Gervin. How are you? Plo3434, welcome. Multi, how are you? Marta, welcome. Mandy, welcome. Hey, Multi. Mia, I am doing fantastic. I'm glad to know you're fabulous. Fabulous is good. Be rad. Good evening. Where am I located? New England. How about you? Kathy, welcome. Multi, I know, 2 a.m. Tisk tisk. Marta, 4:35 a.m. Good grief. Where are you, Marta? Be rad, Minnesota. Nice. The stop. Aye. Hello, Sonic. Welcome. How are you? Marta, you're in Finland. Fantastic. Welcome. Thyra, I remind you of a Lana Del Rey song. Imagine that. Old dude. Thank you, Kathy. Mia, you are in Dublin, Ireland. I do care to know. Dublin is a place I really want to visit. I've never been, so thank you for sharing. Lestat, it's only 9:30 for you. It's 9:30 for me as well. Lestat, you're in Canada, correct? If I remember. Could be wrong. Imra, hi, how are you? Yes, Sonic, very much. Are you the huzz? Maybe. I do not know. Who's my favorite artist, Marta? Depends on what kind of art you're referring. Do I like Australian guys in their 20s? I have to know more. Imra, I'm glad you're doing well. That's awesome. PAI. Not sure what that is, Clara, but welcome. Good morning, Fran. Thank you for the tiny dining, Kathy. Abby, welcome. How are you? June. Lips are glossed. June, your class needs to be filled. Your cup runneth over. Sonic, what am I up to tonight? I'm actually very tired, to be very honest for you. Very, very honest. Ilm MDM. Yes, feel free. Sing for me. Kathy? I'm just not sure how far we're going to get into it because I am tired, but we'll keep going. SEF, hey, how are you? What you do in that 5 a.m. live? I exercised, and I didn't say a word. Lestat, congratulations. Go live as soon as you go to sleep. Sonic, sorry. Kraus, howdy. How was your day? Abby, I just exercised. It was another morning that I needed a little extra motivation. Classified, thank you very much. I like the Night Star. Kathy, I'm sure you do miss tasting food. Now, Kathy, how were you able to run today? And how far did you run? Alex, welcome. Alexander. It was good. It was a good day. You did absolutely nothing. I'm really kind of jealous. It was a good day, but it was a very busy day. Like it was constantly in motion. And one of my old bosses actually came to town to visit, and that was a surprise. And I had an amazing, like, heartfelt, good conversation with him. It was lovely. It was really quite lovely. James, you're at work. Good. Glad you're almost off. Don't want you to get in trouble. What? I deleted Fran. What did I delete? Hey, Lori. Oh, yeah, Imran, I deleted my Instagram. Sorry. Fran, you had a pride party at work today? That's awesome. Kraus, you had orange chicken and fried rice today. Excellent. You know what I had? A hamburger. I had a hamburger for dinner. Kathy, I'm glad you kept your inhaler with you. Alexis, how are you? Choc chip was good. Snickers was awful. Oh. Not McDonald's. I made my own hamburger. It was good. Thank you, Classified. Rising Key. This is the first time I've ever gotten that. I appreciate that. Ooh, let's stop. What is your favorite Vietnamese dish? Seriously, what is it? I love Vietnamese food. Do I play any instruments? No, I don't. Unknown, welcome. You enjoying the Coca-Cola shirt? I do too. I like the red multi. I'm a big fan of red, and I don't have a lot of red clothes. That's why I got this shirt. Unknown. Shout out to Unknown. Whoever you are. Sometimes that cracked me up. If I could, what instrument would I play? The piano? Or no? Either the piano or the guitar. Probably the piano, yeah. Kathy, I used to have a lot of black clothes. Now I upped my game. I've got a lot of navy blue. Megan, you could teach me the piano? That's awesome. Fran, your guitar broke? I'm sorry. Beatable. Oh, Beatable. The Irresistible TikTok I took away. It's not under review. I deleted it. It came back. It made its way through the review, and I saw it, and I went, I got a little cringy, so I deleted it. It was a little too much. Thank you, peace sign. SEF, you tagged me in a jokey joke. Okay. I like jokey jokes. Oh, there it is.
Of course. Harold Ramis Supremacy. Harold Ramis Supremacy. Harold Ramis Supremacy. Of course.
That's fantastic.
Harold Ramis Supremacy.
That is fantastic. Love it. That is awesome. Thank you. That is so great. Just by hearing it. It's very funny. Andrea Cinder, welcome. Thanks for joining. Rainia, I'm great. I'm great. It's actually kind of cool today. It feels nice. I may actually just leave the window open tonight, not turn the AC on. Woof. Kraus. Woof. What's one thing I'm passionate about? Running. Spreading joy. People. Laughter. Happiness. Helping. Zion, hi. You're not late. Zion, welcome. Not late at all. So that's more than one thing, but I'm kind of a passionate person. Is red my favorite color? Yes, Rainia, it is. Not him making the sound effect. Ooh, that tickled. Ooh, that tickled. Yeah. Fran, you got writer's block? It's a real thing. It happens. I usually deal with it by starting to write something else. Play some music? Not quite yet, Marta. What do I use for my hair? Nothing. There is nothing in it. Oosh. Multi, nice. Send it over. Megan, you and me both. Gotta get better at that. Looks soft. I did the Simply Irresistible video I made earlier that I deleted. I slicked my hair back, so it's still a little wet, and that's probably why it looks different. But it'll dry and it'll get big. Don't you worry. Highlands cows, pat it down. When you said your fit today looked like Jake from State Farm, I meant that in a good way. Okay, thank you. Jake from State Farm. My mind was going somewhere else. Jake Gyllenhaal is in the town that I live in, filming a movie. And he's like, it's the greatest movie set ever because it's a wide open movie set on a public street, and they actually are just encouraging people to walk through, which is easy to do. The red shirt and khakis do. They're funny. Alexander, leg day for me is tomorrow, and it's the dreaded day where the long run and the leg day coincide. I usually like leg day. It's like my favorite because I just crank through it. My legs are super strong, and I usually just plow right through it. Tomorrow, it's not going to be that way. You just watched Prisoners, Fran? Yeah, it's actually an M. Night Shyamalan movie that they're filming. And he's here. Jim Lovelace, welcome. Do I like the Smiths? Marta, I love the Smiths. I love the Smiths. Kraus, what? What's up? Melanie, welcome. How are you? J. Alexander, welcome. Sad. All right, y'all. I am going to start reading, so get settled in. I know I'm starting a little bit earlier than I normally do. So all you moderators, you know what to do. We're reading Nancy Drew, number 1, The Secret of the Clock by Carolyn Keene. And like I said, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hang in tonight because I'm super tired. My voice is tired. We'll do our best. Nancy Drew, The Secret of the Old Clock. Chapter 1, The Rescue. Nancy Drew, an attractive girl of 18, was driving home along a country road in her new dark blue convertible. She had just delivered some legal papers for her father. It was sweet of Dad to give me this car for my birthday, she thought, and it was fun to help him in his work. Her father, Carson Drew, a well-known lawyer in their hometown of River Heights, frequently discussed puzzling aspects of cases with his blonde, blue-eyed daughter. Smiling, Nancy said to herself, "Dad depends on my intuition." An instant later, she gasped in horror. From the lawn of a house just ahead of her, a little girl about 5 years of age had darted into the roadway. A van, turning out of the driveway of the house, was barely 50 feet away from her as the driver vigorously sounded the horn. In warning, the child became confused and ran directly in front of the van. Miraculously, the little girl managed to cross the road safely and pull herself up onto a low wall, which formed one side of a bridge. But the next second, as the van sped away, the child lost her balance and toppled off the wall, out of sight. "Oh my goodness," Nancy cried out, slamming on her brakes. She had visions of the child plunging into the water below, perhaps striking her head fatally on a rock. Nancy leapt out of her car and dashed across the road. At the foot of the embankment, she could see the curly-haired little girl lying motionless, the right side of her body in the water. "I hope," Nancy declared, not complete the harrowing thought as she climbed down the steep slope. When she reached the child, she saw, to her great relief, that the little girl was breathing normally, and no water had entered her nose or mouth. A quick examination showed that she had suffered no broken bones. Gently, Nancy lifted the little girl and, holding her firmly in both arms, struggled to the top of the embankment. Then she hurried across the road and up the driveway to the child's house. At this moment, the front door flew open and an elderly woman rushed out, crying, "Judy! Judy!" "I'm sure she'll be all right," said Nancy quickly. The woman, seeing Nancy's car, asked excitedly, "Did you run into her?" No, Judy fell off the bridge." Nancy quickly explained what had taken place. By this time, another woman, slightly younger, had hurried from the house. "Our baby! What has happened to her?" As the woman reached out to take Judy, Nancy said soothingly, "Judy's going to be all right. I'll carry her into the house and lay her on the couch." One of the women opened the screen door and the other directed, "This way." Nancy carried her little burden through a hallway and into a small, old-fashioned living room. As soon as she laid the child on the couch, Judy began to murmur and turn her head from side to side. "I believe she'll come to in a few minutes," said Nancy. The two women watched Judy intently as they introduced themselves as Edna and Mary Turner, great aunts of the little girl. "Judy lives with us," explained Edna, the older sister. "We're bringing her up." Nancy was somewhat surprised to hear that these elderly women were rearing such a small child. She gave her name and address just as Judy opened her eyes and looked around. Seeing Nancy, she asked, "Who are you?" "My name is Nancy. I'm glad to know you, Judy. Did you see me fall?" Nancy nodded as the child's Aunt Mary said, "She rescued you from the river after you fell in." Judy began to cry. "I'll never run into the road again. Really, I won't," she told her aunts. Nancy said she was sure that Judy never would. She patted the child who smiled up at her. Although Nancy felt that Judy would be all right, she decided to stay a few minutes longer to see if she could help. The child's wet clothes were removed and a robe put on her. Mary Turner started for the kitchen door. "I'd better get some medication and wet compresses for her, Judy. She's getting a good-sized lump on her head. Nancy, will you come with me?" She led the way to the kitchen and headed for a first aid cabinet, which was hung on the wall. "I want to apologize to you, Nancy, for thinking you hit Judy," the woman said. "I guess Edna and I lost our heads. You see, Judy is very precious to us. We brought up her mother, who had been an only child and was orphaned when she was a little girl. The same thing happened to Judy. Her parents were killed in a boat explosion 3 years ago. The poor little girl has no close relatives except Edna and me." "Judy looks very healthy and happy," Nancy said quickly, "so I'm sure she must love it here." Mary smiled. "We do the best we can on our small income. Sometimes it just doesn't suffice, though. We sold some old furniture to the 2 men in the van you saw. I don't know who they were, but I guess the price was all right." Mary Turner's thoughts went back to little Judy. She's so little now that Edna and I are able to manage with our small income. But we worry about the future. We're dressmakers, but our fingers aren't so nimble, and the needles aren't so nimble with the needle as they used to be. To tell you the truth, Nancy, at the time Judy's parents were killed, Edna and I wondered whether we would be able to take care of Judy properly. But we decided to try it, and now we wouldn't part with her for anything in the world. She's won our hearts completely. Nancy was touched by the story. She knew what was in the minds of the Turner sisters. Living costs would become higher, and with their advancing years, their own income would become lower. Unfortunately, Mary went on. Judy's parents left very little money, but they were extremely bright people, and Judy is going to be like them. She ought to study music and dancing, and have a college education, but I'm afraid we'll never be able to give her those things." Nancy said reassuringly, "Judy may be able to win a scholarship or get other financial aid." Mary, finding Nancy a sympathetic listener, continued, "A cousin of our father's named Josiah Crawley used to help us, but he passed away a couple of months ago. For years, he used to pay us long visits and was very generous with his money." Miss Turner sighed. "He always promised to remember us in his will. He loved little Judy, and I'm afraid Edna and I came to depend on that in our plans for her. But he did not carry out on his promise." Nancy smiled understandingly and made no comment, but she did wonder why Mr. Crawley had changed his mind. Josiah went to live with some other cousins. After that, things changed. He rarely came to see us. But he was here just last February and said the same thing, that Edna and I were to inherit money from him. He had always helped us, and it seemed strange that he should stop by so suddenly. Mary Turner looked at Nancy. Maybe you know our well-to-do cousins that he might want to... Maybe you know our well-to-do cousins that he went to stay with. They live in River Heights. They're the Richard Tophams. Did they have 2 daughters named Ada and Isabel? Nancy asked. If so, I know them. That's the family, all right, replied Mary. Nancy detected a hint of coolness in the woman's voice. Do you like those 2 girls? Miss Turner asked. Nancy did not answer at once. She had been taught never to gossip. But finally, she said, tactfully, Ada and Isabel were in high school with me. They were never my close friends. We didn't see eye to eye on various things. By this time, Mary Turner had selected a few items from the first aid chest. Now she went to the refrigerator for some ice cubes. As she arranged the various articles on the tray, she said, well, when Cousin Josiah passed away, to our amazement, Richard Topham, produced a will which made him executor of the Crawley estate and left all the money to him, his wife, and the 2 girls. Yes, I did read that in the newspaper, Nancy recalled. Is the estate a large one? I understand there's considerable money in it, Mary Turner replied. Some of Josiah's other cousins say he told them the same thing he told us, and they are planning to go to court about the matter. The women shrugged, but I guess a fight to break the will would be hopeless. Nevertheless, Edna and I cannot help feeling there must be a later will. Although as yet, no one has presented it. Nancy followed Miss Turner into the living room. The cold compresses helped to reduce the swelling where Judy had hit her head on a rock. Convinced now that the little girl was all right, Nancy said she must leave. Come to see me again soon, Judy spoke up. I like you, Nancy. You're my saving girl. You bet I'll come, Nancy answered. I like you. You're a good sport. The child's great aunts profusely thanked Nancy again for rescuing Judy. The visitor had barely reached the door when Edna suddenly said, Mary, where's our silver teapot? Why, right there on the tea table. Oh, it's gone. Edna ran into the dining room. The silver candlesticks, they're gone too. Nancy had paused in the doorway, startled. Do you mean the pieces have been stolen? She asked. They must have been, replied Mary Turner, who was white with apprehension, by those men who bought some furniture from us. Instantly, Nancy thought of the men in the van. Who were the men? She asked. Oh, Mary, how could we have been so careless? Edna Turner wailed. We don't know who the men are. They just knocked on the door and asked if we had any old furniture that we wanted to sell. We'll never get that silver back. Maybe you will, said Nancy. I'll call the police. Oh dear, Mary said woefully. Our phone is out of order. I'll try to catch up to the van. Nancy declared. What did the men look like? They were short and heavy-set. One had dark hair, the other light. They had kind of large noses. That's about all I noticed. Me too, said Edna. With a hasty goodbye, Nancy dashed from the house and ran to her car. That's all I'm going to be able to get through tonight, y'all. I am dragging, and I apologize. We'll read much more tomorrow. Do we like the lead into the story? We got a plot thickening. Loved it. Kathy, you are welcome. I promise I will rest up so that tomorrow night I can go for much longer. Abby Beatable, thank you very much. Everyone have a lovely, lovely, restful evening. Good night, Wonder Woman.